Hey there, today we're going to take a look at a simple example of writing a guess the number game in Dart. So first we'll take a look at what you can expect. We'll run this as Dart using the Dart virtual machine, sort of similar to the Java virtual machine for now. Welcome to Guess Dart version 1.0. Enter a number between 1 and 100. So we'll start off with 50, the number's higher. 80, the number's lower. How about 60? 65. How about 75? The target number is lower. 72. Between 72 and 75. 74 it must be. There we go. We win. So here's the code to that game, the entire code. Let's zoom in a little bit and then we'll go over it. So first we import Dart.io, which gives us access to the input-output libraries. We need to do some of this. And then we import Dart Math, which gives us access to the random number libraries. Then we have the main function. And this is how you declare a constant in Dart. Const version equals 1.0. And in Dart, you don't have to specify the variable type. It can infer the variable type from whatever is on the right-hand side of the assignment operator. So here we have var rand equals new random. So it creates a new random number generator object and assigns it to rand. And then here we have the first print statement. Welcome to Guess Dart. Now here, using the standard print statement, it automatically includes a carriage return at the end of the print statement or a new line. You don't need to add a new line manually. It's already included in the print statement. And then this right here, this is how you include a variable in a print statement or the information from a variable. So we have $version, which means it will include the information from the version variable right here, which gives us 1.0. So then we have var correct equals false, var guess equals 0. And here for number, I just did this as an int, as an example of using an explicit variable declaration that you can include specific types. You don't have to use var if you don't want to. Here we're just declaring specifically that number is an int, and we're giving it a random number, rand.nextInt, and we're doing 100 plus 1. We're doing that because rand nextInt 100 will return a number between 0 and 99, so we're adding plus 1 to give us 1 to 100. And then while not correct, so this sets up our main loop, print a blank line. We could have just included something like a /n right here, but I just did this for to be more explicit, I guess. Then we have standardout.write. This is how you print something without it including a carriage return or a new line in the print. Standardout.write. Enter a number between 1 and 100, and then we need a try statement because we're going to try to convert the input from the user into a number. And if the user enters something that isn't a number, if it's not an integer, if it can't be converted into an integer, we need to be able to handle that case. So we have try, guess equals, first we get the information from the standard in. We get the information from the user. Read line sync because it flushes the output as soon as it's entered. So it immediately assigns it to the variable or passes the result further into the program. So we just use read line sync to get the information immediately. And then after we get the information, that's passed to int.parse, which tries to turn the input into an integer. And if that's successful, then the integer is assigned to the guess variable. Now, here we have on format exception. So if something is entered that's not an integer, then it triggers this block of code right here, which we just moved, right here on format exception, which will say print, this isn't a recognized number, try again and continue. So it will just skip the rest of this loop and go back to the top of the loop and try again, so the user can enter another number. If they enter something that's a valid number, then we simply check to see how that number compares, how their guess compares to the number that was selected randomly by the program. If guess is lower than the number, then we let them know that the target number is higher. If guess is higher than the number, we let them know the target number is lower. Otherwise, congratulations, you win, correct equals true, which means this loop here will stop and the game will be over. Now that's a very simple guess the number program in Dart. You can modify this in a number of different ways, of course. You can add a certain number of tries that are allowed, so the person has to guess it maybe in say 10 tries, something like that. You would just add a new tries variable. Int tries equals 0. And then down here, maybe while not correct, and tries is less than 10. Then you could add that. Then at the end of this block here, we could just add tries plus plus, and that will increment the variable on every loop. So that way, if tries gets to be 10 before the correct answer is guessed, then that will break out of the loop. It'll end the loop and the game will be over. So that's how you can modify it. Fairly simple. Now, one other little feature we can look at. We've already run the game through the Dart virtual machine directly, using the code file directly. One other thing we can do is compile the code to a native executable, just using Dart to native, and then the code file, it'll compile it. And there we go. Now we have a native executable, which we can just run like any old program. Self-contained native executable, enter a number, so on and so forth. 50, 90, 80, 60, 65, 68. The number is higher, then let's go 75. And we win. So there you go. A simple guess the number game in Dart.